Well, we had a little issue this morning. The humidity rose very quickly, and we went to the park, and we made it about halfway down, and everybody was hot, so we turned around and came back, and we went to Maddie's house, and we hosed everybody down. In the middle of the hosing down, suddenly Brady's hind end just gave out on him, and he couldn't walk. And so thank God Urban Village Veterinary Care is right next to where we live. And I raced up here with Brady, and I lifted him out of the car, and I walked him into Urban Village, and Dr. Sara Rudwell was right here to take care of him. Dr. Rudwell, thank you guys so much.
You're welcome.
Oh, I appreciate you guys so much for being here. And he is so grateful. He's eaten a whole bag of your lean treats, so we'll have to replace that. But tell us about the dangers of heat exhaustion and heat stroke, Dr. Rudwell.
Really easy to happen, especially in high humidity environments. Of course, the classic example that we always hear about is dogs or cats or even children, unfortunately, being in cars that are too warm. But that's not the case for Brady. He was just on a regular walk in high humidity, high heat temperatures. Normally would probably be okay, but something about today, his heat just went up in his body, and it's really difficult for dogs to dissipate heat. Panting, a little bit of sweat glands through their paws, but that's about it as far as dissipation of heat. So it's very difficult for them. They're not going to sweat like normal people,
right.
Normal people, dogs,
yeah,
abnormal people. Yeah, dogs are just a little different than humans, and they don't sweat like we do. So when he first came in, he was at 105.0, which is abnormal for dogs. They typically go up to 102.5 or so. They are warmer than we are generally, but 105 is definitely higher than we would like it to be. Luckily, not so high that this is not a reversible thing. This is definitely reversible for him.
And the other two were fine.
Absolutely.
Usually it's
we checked
Wyatte.
Their temperatures too.
Yeah, I mean, I was so scared that all three of them had it, and I feel like such a bad mommy letting him be out in that.
Not at all. It happens. Sometimes it's just the perfect combination of heat, humidity, and something about the dog that day that doesn't allow them to get rid of that heat. But thankfully, he is coming down in his temperature. He's down to nearly 104 now, and still not normal, but we're keeping just kind of a lukewarm, just kind of medium temperature towel on him to start cooling him off slowly. It's important to do that slowly. You don't want to do it too quickly because it can drop their temperature too low and put them into shock. So we just want to bring them down nice and gently here.
Well, I think the thing that scared me so much is that his legs just collapsed under him, and he could not walk, and it was terrifying because he's a 90-pound dog.
Yeah.
And I carried him across the street, and then I lifted him into the car. Which I'm wondering, is just my extraordinary adrenaline or what? I don't know how I could have lifted a 90-pound dog, but I did. And the other two, I just ran inside the house, and he waited at the bottom of the stairs until I came out, and then I threw him in the car, and I was going to race up to the vet in St. Matthews, and all of a sudden I thought, oh my God, Sarah and Lori are right next door. And Brady was so grateful that his Aunt Sarah was there to take care of him.
I was here, treats in hand and everything.
Treats in hand. Yeah. So tell me just the steps, Dr. Rudwell. Obviously, the first and most important thing is get to a vet.
Yeah, I get to a vet as soon as possible. However, what you did to start, as far as getting him starting cooled off, I think was appropriate. Either with just kind of lukewarm to slightly cool water, not cold, definitely not freezing. You don't want ice cold water. Just kind of a quick hose down, or using a towel like I have here with that same temperature water and put on them. And then just to the vet if you can, because we want to make sure that we monitor that temperature and control how slowly it comes down.
Yeah.
So that it's not going too fast or too slow. And if we need to do any supportive care related to fluid therapy, if they're in shock, something like that, we want to be able to institute that as quickly as possible. That wasn't needed in his case.
You'd actually give them an infusion of liquids
of
some sort.
If need be. If he were exhibiting any signs of shock, then we would, but luckily in his case it's just a matter of bringing down that temperature slowly.
So what are the signs of shock that we would need to see?
A lot of it is going to be neurologic in nature, where he's very kind of not with it, maybe not responding appropriately, or even vocalizing, acting just kind of out of his mind, or just acting almost like he's comatose.
What was with the legs?
So the legs, I think, is just weakness associated with the increased heat, and Heat does a lot of weird things to the muscles, to the brain, that kind of thing. So I think that was a bit of kind of early shock, but not enough that I think we needed to do anything. His heart, his lungs, all of that sounded good. But I think now that his temperature is starting to come down, he stood up and walked around for us a little bit.
Well, and thank God you've got this cool concrete floor. It feels good to me, too.
Just let him lay on it.
Oh, Lord, I owe Urban Village and Dr. Sara Rudwell a huge gratitude, and so does Brady. And just, you know, guys, when you're out walking, just if the temperature wasn't even that high, but the humidity must have been a lot higher than I thought it was. So,
lots of
I'm
breaks in the
relieved.
shade, short walks.
Yeah,
and,
we walked in the
plenty of-
shade too. That
yeah.
was the weirdest part. It was
Yeah.
just so sudden. And now this wonderful man who's fixing the heating and air conditioning ran to help me, and I just was so grateful as I was bringing him into the office. He helped me so much.
Oh, it's no problem.
What's the name of your company?
Now heating and cooling.
Awesome. Well, we'll give you a big promo. He loves dogs. Thank you, Dr. Rudwell.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rudwell. Now that I can speak, I'm very grateful for you all at Urban Village.